fucking
We're in the zone.
Effy, how you doing?
Bro, I'm chilling at my house. I'm great. I actually had a really good positive day. I got vaccinated, as you can see
Holy
here.
shit!
Bro, it
Did,
was so lit.
did you just have to get one, or do you have to get another one in like 3 weeks?
I got to go get another one in 3 weeks. So unfortunately, my next shot doesn't come until after Tampa, Florida, which is a bummer.
It's like the worst thing that could happen.
But, for me, it's like, what a fitting end to coronavirus. My final hoorah in Tampa, Florida. It ruined everything last year. Boom. It's my last moment before I'm a free bird. Flying again. You know the vibes.
Dude, no rules. You just everything. You're brushing off Corona like it's nothing.
Yeah, fuck that corona. Listen, I never got coronavirus, Kid Osborne. I never did.
Well, you're lucky. I did. And I had to quarantine for 10 days. And dude, if there's anything worse than, at least I think you could understand, we never like being home, but imagine being in a fucking room just looking out the window. I like can only compare it to like the movie Jack, when
Oh my God.
when he wasn't allowed to leave and he's like waving at his friends through
That's
the window.
really dark. Yeah, that sounds rough. Did you have to have your groceries delivered?
I ordered a lot of I ate like shit. Didn't work
Okay,
out.
but that's
It
fair.
was terrible.
You could only do like push-ups though. Like you can't.
Yeah, but
You
you
know what I
can't really
mean?
do that either. Like, first of
Oh
all,
yeah,
maybe
you're
you're sick.
respiratory.
It's not like you're in timeout. Like
Oh my
you're on house
God.
arrest.
Listen, you have to be careful though, because I don't know. I see those people at the grocery store that have to do the grocery delivery, and
Yeah,
I don't know if I can contribute to that. Even if it gets really bad, I have to quarantine or something. Like I can't make you do that. I don't
oh
like
yeah.
going around the grocery store as it is, and now I got to freaking send somebody else to do that for me. I don't know, man. That seems low.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not one to like have somebody else do it to get my produce. Like, I want to look at it, and I never know what the fuck I want anytime I go to the grocery store. I'm one of those people that go every day when I just
Oh man.
decide what I feel like making.
I can't do that, but I do go on Snack Adventure where basically I buy a lot of snacks and then I buy these really healthy meal items. So I get home and I eat all the snacks that are fun, and then the next few days I keep opening the fridge going, fuck, I got to eat tilapia. I got to eat fucking broccoli. I got to eat all these weird health foods. And I already ate all my lemon Oreos after a freaking day, man. It sucks.
I'll tell you this: what was so good about the quarantine I went through was I only ate once a day, like at a reasonable hour, and it was enough that like I mean I didn't gain like this ridiculous weight. Like I just
Yeah.
wasn't eating. I don't have a sweet tooth, and I wasn't like eating massive amounts of shit like every day. But just eating once was it was something I could tolerate without actually doing anything active and just watching
Yeah.
abandoned places on YouTube all
I
day.
think I understood burrowing creatures much better because, when I'm on a real life schedule, I've got to eat a meal because I can't eat a meal for another 6 hours. I got to eat a meal. But when you're just sort of stuck in a place, you kind of eat when you need to, and you forage and you hold your goods and you just kind of sit back and you find out, listen, you eat when you're hungry, and when you're not hungry, you sit on that chill ass couch, maybe do some sit-ups, I don't know. But you get to sort of live in your little nest. And if you're good at keeping a clean nest, it can be very enjoyable to have a nest life. And I have found that the nest life for me has created much more streamlined ability of how I do things, which is I kind of just float through it,
Yeah, I hear it, dude. I mean, like when I'm in my place and it's like a mess, I don't get anything done. I just think about how I really need to clean this, and then I just end up going to bed. Like,
Yeah.
I
I've
don't know
had
about
some
the shit.
necessary messes though. And that's like part of my life. And I keep having
That's
to explain
different.
to my boyfriend, like, we just did all these wrestling as gay shirts and we're about to do the next drop. And literally that stock, when it shows up, like I don't have a huge apartment. It takes up my whole freaking apartment. It is crazy. And so it's just like, if I don't ship stuff out super fast, I'm just clumped in my house and I will go nuts. I'll go nuts if I have too much shit in my house. I'm a throwaway guy. I want to throw everything away. Don't give me gifts. Don't give me anything. Don't give me furniture. It's all going in the trash.
Dude, I remember like all of these clothes that I have. Like I had this little cubby thing, cubic, whatever, that I got off of like IKEA. Like, first of all, like if I would have known how difficult like it is for me to build something, I would have bought 3 so I could smash 2 of them. But
Just so you could, yeah, get it out of your system, you know?
yeah, and but once I put everything in there, I felt so organized, and I was like, dude, everything's great. I have more room for shit. but
You gotta have it.
I wanted so the name of the show, Uncorked with Kit. I buy a bottle of wine that I feel fits the person I'm interviewing.
My God.
Oh yeah, dude, I have a whole little concept. So the one I got yesterday was the first. Actually, I don't think I've ever bought a Malbec before. It's from Argentina.
Oh, I know about the Malbecs.
But this one, I was like, that's Effy, all right, to me. It's called Tall Dark Stranger.
Oh my God, am I a tall dark stranger? Lit.
So we're gonna try this one out. I'll try to get through the whole bottle before we're done within an hour.
Yeah, here's the thing.
We'll just see how progressively shitty of a person I get, like I do normally in real life.
No, it's good, and this could turn into an adventure. If I get a notification, we're going on a road trip, and we're keeping it live because we're gonna have to go pick up my drunk boyfriend. But we're going to keep the interview lit. I've got the AirPods. I'm ready to go. I smoked way too much weed.
I was wondering why you're Jack Nicholson it up over there.
Bro, I'm so stoned right now. It happens. I was streaming earlier, and, like, this isn't a brag, but it's going to sound like a brag. There were, like, 6,000 people in the place, and it can be a little, like, you don't want to miss anybody, so it can be a little emotionally exhausting to, like, catch everybody's comments and chats and everything. And boy, I finished that stream and I'm like, I go into the bong NATO. You know what I mean?
What was this stream? I saw that, you had something earlier today. What was it?
So typically I started this Wednesday show that was supposed to be like an IWTV show.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to move forward with that. So I said, well, what am I going to highlight? Let's highlight weird ass wrestling, because Monday Night Raw I try to usually highlight pretty as good of wrestling as I can, modern wrestling, people in our scene. It's a bring up show, it's a positive show, and so Monday nights are set for that. But like Wednesdays, it's sort of like, okay, is this shitty backyard wrestling? Yep, we're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch the worst scaffold matches. We're gonna watch 240p sumo wrestling. We're gonna watch clown matches. We watched robots fighting today, and they put it on the front page, so like all these people who have no idea anything about wrestling other than like Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan are seeing us wrestling. And I mean, what the number one comment is, which is, are you gay? And I have real fun playing those cards up. I'm like, you got to give me 100 bits right now. You got to put money on the table or I'm going to ban you just for even asking.
Dude, I don't know.
All gay.
What I'm doing with this show, I'm doing completely wrong. Like, I need to subscribe to your newsletter because, I've just started doing this, but I need to start
this
doing
is good.
Watch-alongs and shit.
I want you to kind of sniff the wine, though. Will you sniff the wine?
Oh, you want me to sniff it?
Yeah, I want to get a sniff.
Let me see me not appreciate it, but act like I do.
Yeah, I see Brendan's here. I see Kitchen Warriors here. I got some people vibed up in the live chat. This is low key tonight,
let me just
baby.
Put this here.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it's so rich and just deeply satisfying.
I think you're going to get a little peppery on the back end
dark,
if I know my Malbecs.
Very dark, juicy, smooth.
Yeah. You're going to get cherry rind.
I'm not reading the bottle.
Not a juicy cherry, a rind. You're going to appreciate the rind.
I am digging a Malbec. I'm kind of getting sick of Cabernets, which is what I usually end up getting.
Listen, a Cabernet ends up being a heavy evening most of the time. A Malbec is a heavy wine, but it makes you feel like sort of like an Argentinian warrior, just out on the plains, looking over the cliffs, like seeing where the quarries are going to go.
Like there's just a better background than this 1970s wood panel.
See, look, I've got the benefit of technology.
Oh my God!
You can go green right now.
You're ahead of me by so much with a green screen.
They can put us on something. Look at that. Now we're real pro. I look ready.
Oh my God.
I just
Ah,
bought an N64 thing, so I'm gonna play N64 soon too. That's my new vibe. I have no
that's
mercy, bro.
awesome.
Like I'm going in.
I have a lot of questions for you when we're done
Oh my
with this.
God, people were really sending in questions, weren't they?
Um, I got questions for you. I mean, I'm
Oh,
trying
I
to.
love that.
So I have some fan questions I want to start with before I get into some of the stuff, man. That like really, these are questions that I wanted to know. That
Yeah,
this is what's so good about this show is like we hang out every time we're in the same town,
yeah, yeah.
and and at that point it's never about we're never actually just talking and get to know one another. We're usually just like, hey, where's
It
so
feels
and so? Where's
we
where's that? Where's Schlack at? And then you're
yeah, we
just
have
like,
to
and
do
that
all
was the
the we
whole
have to
night.
manage. We have to manage all these wild humans.
Yeah, like, hey, where are we all gonna meet? Oh yeah, let's go in that back kitchen area behind Voltage Lounge. And you're like, oh yeah, and everybody
Let's
meets there, and then
somebody's
we're
in
there
an
till 8 in the
alley.
morning.
There's always 8 people in an alleyway for no reason, seemingly.
Yeah. Oh man. So those are just some of the good questions from the fans I
Oh,
like.
I
Other
love
ones
that.
are
Well,
dumb.
hopefully I answer well.
Oh yeah, you'll be all right. So this is the first one. This is the most important question of the night. What other body parts do you enjoy being drained besides your elbow?
Oh my God. Uh, my elbow was drained at Fight Forever in a trash can by Dr. Schlack. He drained it with a real life doctor's needle. And honestly, he's not in it for the profit, so I kind of trust him over a doctor. He really drained it. I mean, I had people back there, and I hope you weren't one of them, Kid Osborne, that were saying to me, just let it pop during your match with Homicide. That's what they were saying to me. It was like sound advice. And I was like, it's hanging off the size of a baseball. It is disgusting. I haven't had to have my knees drained before, but I did go on a jog today where I could feel my liquid in my knee shaking the whole time.
Ugh.
So it was just like 5 miles of jiggle knee, and it was not good. I think draining is a thing that we used in the past that we should use more. Like, I wish I could get my blood drained and filtered once a year. I used to donate plasma, and I would do it twice a week. And they pull your blood out, they spin the plasma out, and they put it back in with saline solution. And what they pull out of your blood, you can see it in this little filter. It's fucking horrific,
That's
and it
really
pulls out all the fats and salts and grossness that's in your blood. And I think that was healthy for me to have my blood filtered every once in a while. I think it was good for my liver to donate the plasma. And, thank God they put it on an ATM card and I could just go get schliz hammered after, which wasn't great, but it was a cycle,
like
it's
one
a
beer, you're
cycle.
done. Ugh.
Oh, yeah. There was a triangle where I lived, though, and you could donate the plasma, drain your plasma, get your pay, go to the liquor store, and go to Sonic, and it was all within about 30 feet.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great area. I, I think, I mean, so, I mean, when they do say, like, if you get your blood drained, like, it is good for you, because it just rebuilds blood cells anyway. So, well, now I would like to tell me more how you went to donate plasma. Like, where did you hear about it? Who called you onto it? And
I
then
think it. I think
what do you
I.
know about it? Like, what?
Well, I know a lot about it. I'm still pretty certain there's like a large demographic of rich German people who just drink it. Like, they say it's for research, and they're like really into like, oh, it's for research and or burn patients or like whatever. But like, I also think there's a pretty good private market to get this shit and drink it for power or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what they use it for. But I would go twice a week because you got paid more the second time you went. It was a bonus because you're a little tired and you drained your blood. If you drain it again, they'll give you a little bonus. And I learned about it from probably frat boys. And my dad wouldn't pay for my booze in college. He was like, "I'll pay for your education," which that ended because I flunked out at a point and had to pay a lot of money. So
Ugh.
I found it as a way to like do drugs, like buy weed and buy drugs and buy booze and buy crazy stuff. And in college, it was just like free money for your blood. They had good Wi-Fi. They had movies on the screen. Sometimes they would watch bootleg movies, So it was a lit time being a plasma donor. I got to be honest.
I mean, it's a smart business. Doesn't take that much out of you. Anything beats working, dude. Working, that's for fools.
I know, dude. I can't take direction enough from people. It's very difficult for me to have real jobs. Come here, Cran. My dog is barking. Oh my God, Game Changer Wrestling. I told y'all I'm doing all the press, y'all. Effy's Big Gay Brunch, April 10th. Game Changer Wrestling.
Yeah,
Cran.
I don't know how I got him to agree to do it.
I'm here. It's Kit, man. Cran, come here.
So
let me see why my dog's barking. Cran, come here. The birds are not here to get you. Come here. Sorry, she's got to come back in here.
Oh, you're
come here.
Fine.
She's such a baby. Listen, baby, come here. Daddy's doing work right now with his buddies. We're talking about events.
Oh, it's adorable.
She had to come. Yeah, it's blessed. It's blessed. Cran, she won't look at the camera because she thinks it's the devil's instrument, but she will sit with us. Donate to the SPCA in the arms of the angels.
If I should have let my cat, if I had my cat, like, she will see that I'm talking to somebody else and immediately have to just insert her face, like, looking at me to block whatever it is. I love it, but that's why I have to keep her out. Like,
she really gets worked up by birds, which I imagine is a cat thing too. This angel. Hold on, if I turn around, you can see her, but she doesn't like looking at the camera. Say hey. Will you say hey in your little cute bandana?
Hi. Look, she looks so plum tuckered out.
She is always. She's a very tired girl, but she wants to stay with Daddy. Her other daddy's at the bar playing pool with a mask on. But we're really excited for our Vax life.
Oh man. So the next question I got for you, some of these, what was it like, for that brief moment when you joined 440, and then, that initial, really what I want to know is like that initial heat, like, how'd that feel? Like, man, you're a baby face and everybody loves you, but like when you all of a sudden you put the green and white on, man.
Yeah.
And then like everybody's just like devastated. And I was there and I was like looking around like, holy shit, that is awesome.
It felt intense. And I had my phone hooked up to charge and I was like, okay, well, I joined 440, so I literally can't go back to the merch table to grab my phone right now. So I couldn't even look at my phone while everything was happening. And people were like, oh shit, this is like going off the chain. It was like really, really trending for a second. And I knew that we like had them, but people had to know I wouldn't stick with them because like, look at the screen behind me right now. I live on green screens, bro. Like I can't wear green. That's the number one thing I cannot wear is green. I can't own that color. Fuck St. Patrick's Day. Fuck all that shit. Green does not exist to me. So boom, y'all knew it was going to be a twist. I had to nut him. Now, there were some people controversially saying, why didn't you just punch Joey Janela one time in the face? Because you would have given him the championship. As a member of 440, if anyone touched Joey Janela, he would have gotten the belt. And to be honest, I literally forgot, y'all. I did not even realize that was the situation. I just wanted to kick Ricky Shane Page in the dick. And how often do you get to do that at like point blank range, right to the nads, and Hulk Hogan a shirt off and say, fuck Hulk Hogan? Are you kidding me? I'm so glad the shirt ripped all the way. Someone stole it, though. It was a motherfucking bitch move.
Oh, man. Dude, it's the absolute worst. Like, I've tried to, like, Hogan a shirt that I didn't do the little cut with.
Yeah.
Like, at the wrong time. It's like that type of fabric. And, brand new T-shirt, nothing. And you're just like, fuck. Like,
luckily, I found a pair of scissors back there and could put a little notch in the top. To make sure I could rip it. But, like, I was also in the fucking zone, too. So, like, bring it on. Let's go.
Yeah. Like, the adrenaline going through is just, you're done. It doesn't matter.
And everybody just yelling at me the whole time I was in 440, calling me a bitch and everything. That was, like, I was, like, fired up enough about that to be like, dude, I gotta let all my energy out.
I love the heat. The heat is so great. Like, I'm like, nothing better. And then it's also even more satisfying, like, if I were to go in a ring, if it's me and you, and I'm this, and everybody hates me, like, there's nothing funnier than me, like, if I were to trip over the rope, and fall on my face. Like, they're in, it's the dream for them to see that, and then me just fucking, what? But if you do it, it's a little bit worse.
It was fun. That was the most merch 440 has ever sold in their life. the most in their whole life. And so, like, thank you. Proud of y'all. But I fucked you up. Now, apparently, I'm going to have to, like, fight 440 again or something. I don't know. Atticus Kogar is so into making, like, what do they call, like, fan cams? The little music videos that he makes? They're, like, K-pop fan cams for his, like, emotions.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like goth live journal scrapbooks.
That's exactly it. And I think I like them. I watch.
Oh no,
them.
I mean, like, it's very cool.
Entertaining as shit.
But when you're the subject and he's getting all like deep emotional about like your life and stuff, it's like, okay, dog, like cut me up, but like, girl, like emotionally, I don't need all of that. Like, I can't handle everything. I did a seminar last week, Kip, and one of the lines was, "You ready for it? This is so stupid."
God.
Wrestling isn't your fucking therapist. We don't need to always hear about how emotionally turmoiled you are in every moment. It's not always what's going to get a crowd on your side to just be like, everything's so horrible. Everything's darkness and the flesh burns for the fire. It's like, yo, these people want to get a little lit. Like, you can be a believable human and not be like mired in the darkness.
Dude, I agree. There are definitely times where, like, I think we all kind of, well, some of us do it. Like, I'll subtweet. Like, then I'll get really frustrated, you know, with things and how they go. And, you know, not to get any detail, but I'll subtweet about it. And then, like, I'll wake up the next day and I'll look at it and I go, you bitch. Like, just delete that shit. You're ruining your fucking self. Like, they don't want to see that.
Yeah, and what sucks is those tweets get more traction because they're simple and they're word tweets. And Twitter likes those because it keeps people in the feed. It keeps you scrolling. It's not a link to the outside. So they see you subtweeting and being a bitch, and they're like, this looks like the one everyone should see. Not your hard content, not your moves, not your fucking new gear. No. It's always like, this one little bitchy thing you said, let's push it everywhere.
Dude,
they want to push that.
It's like when I quit CZW because they treated me like shit.
Hell yeah.
You know, that got like the most shit, and all it was like a paragraph, you know, 2 paragraphs of me describing, you know, just whatever. And then that got so much traction, but like I'll do a promo where I literally am buying stuff like to make me look like a Treehouse Lee or look like Paro, and then I'll go and do that, and then they'll be like, you know, 3 retweets. You know,
yeah,
like,
I spent
a lot of money on that one. I might as well
algorithm
with a sponsor.
The algorithm's a son of a bitch, and I don't know how to beat her sometimes. And they're choosy. It fucks me, especially with Twitch stuff. Go get me some chicken. She's gonna go get me some chicken. Twitter hates Twitch links for sure. So that's like a battle every day because I'll tweet something stupid and get 100 likes, and then I'll tweet a Twitch link and it's like 3 likes, and it's like, why is no one seeing this? Well, because Twitter doesn't give a fuck about your Twitch links. They don't want people to see that.
They don't want you to leave Twitter. Like, they don't want to.
No.
Like, they don't, like, if I advertise you on Twitter and tag you in it, like, it doesn't matter if you retweet it or, like, 10 people do. Like, less people are going to see it. It says IG Live, and they're like, yeah, it's not Twitter Live. We have a live. Why aren't you using that? And you're
like, yeah. They hate it. They hate that. They're competing brands, and they're whores.
Yeah. Next fan question. I'll try to get through these real quick. There's only 2 more. Would you consider doing Big Gay Brunch as its own promotion?
Yeah. So I think the biggest lesson I've learned this year is that the second I can take my face and name off of it, do it. Like, I don't. The clout is cool. It's great. I'm glad I could, provide enough of a platform to put all these people on and stuff. But I think the second I can like pull my face out of it, and that's sort of been like the wrestling is gay motive, which right now it's like, okay, we can do clothing drops and we're about to do rolling trays, and we're about to do crazy stickers, and we're doing all this stuff, and we're able to donate a lot of money to charity. But as that money grows, it is like, we're kind of looking at where this brand goes and what it means. And it's like, yo, put my money where my mouth is. There's nothing I hate more than booking. So if I was able to just, put up and host these shows that are wrestling is gay, that feature all these talents, that don't necessarily have to have an Effy fucking smorgasbord, match thrown in there, so I feel like I got myself on the card because my face is on it. It's like, that's the motive towards the future, is like pulling myself off of it. Not that I'm going anywhere, but just more that like, if we can make it a more generalized spotlight, I think it's better towards the message of uplifting all these different talents that people may not know about instead of just throwing my face on everything. Although the advertisements with my big face on them do okay. You know what I mean? What up, Hot Dog Starks? I can see it. Yeah, so, we'll get there.
Yeah, it's a slow build, but I mean, obviously, the more you do, the more people want to see them. It's just like, GCW doing, instead of just one blood sport, they did like two, or they can do as many as they want.
Yeah.
They can make it a quarterly thing, and honestly, I mean, hypothetically, like, it could branch off and it's its own entity.
Definitely. And I think there's definitely a breed of wrestlers coming in now that like are very influenced by that blood sport look and that style and that realism. And like it's to me, I tweeted something the other day that was like the most valid type of pro wrestling is the pro wrestling people watch, right? Like that's the measuring stick of like successful pro wrestling. And it's not to say that the merit or skill anywhere is not that, but if we can increase that viewership and bring more people into pro wrestling through that avenue, then like, fuck yeah, if that's inspiring you to come to pro wrestling and be a pro wrestler and that's your style, well, clearly there are people who are rallying behind it. I mean, even Paradigm Pro Wrestling has started doing more of those UWFI fights and stuff like that. It seems to be a place that the market's moving in, and it's like, I think it's a more precarious thing than what I do, and then maybe even than what you do, to ride that line between, what's real and what's a work and what's cool and what's not. And it's like that question, though, it provides this big cliff of opportunity of like wherever they take it, they're going to be able to answer that,
Yeah, it is. I've definitely followed like GCW from when Brett started it to, where he sees that something's working and then he doubles down on it, and it's worked out for them really well. Not to blow smoke up his ass if he's listening, because he's not booking me anyway. But it's just that it's just that I see that I see how he's working, or like at least I know it's always unpredictable. But there are times where you see that he sees it's a success, and then instead of maybe like how I would do it would be I would ride the line, and that's not the right way to do it. Whereas like he is more of a risk taker with the brand than most promoters would be. And that's
but he's ear to the ground, though. And that's what I've always said is like, people always ask that question on podcasts, like, what's the difference with GCW? And it's like, we are adaptable and willing to change to what the fan base needs and like what the people react to and what the people in wrestling want. Like, it's no fucking secret. Look at NXT, look at WWE, look at AEW, look at Ring of Honor, look at all these places. They're pulling guys left and right that Brett puts on as soon as he puts them in there. Won't even give them a year anymore before they're just like snatching dudes off who are the hot new thing. They're really quick to move on it because he's doing a lot of the footwork for them. And there's no way around that when you run an independent company like that and the options are out there for people. That's always going to be the question. But if they are changing based on what we're doing and we're listening to the people, then are we not changing the whole business based on, what fans actually want, if they're willing to make those changes based on the wrestling we're putting out? Because it's not the same shit that was put out years and years and years and years ago. They've got to stay on the cusp too. And like, they have found a cool cusp. And there's a lot of shit out there right now. And Kit, there's a lot of lame ass fucking wrestling. And I'll never hate on a payday for somebody. Like, please go get your money. Please go get your shit. But when speaking to adult consumers, and that's not the product everybody's going for, when speaking to adult consumers, there's a lot of hokey, dumb, unbelievable, stupid crap shit that's not good wrestling. And it's not, if it's not good wrestling, it's definitely not even good TV. And that's the level you've got to compete on now. And like, to be able to run these pay-per-views and run outside the lines of cable and run outside the lines of everybody and sort of do your own thing and see success with that, success to the point where the industry leaders watch you and follow you, it's crazy and it's cool. And it's like, it's the future of this shit, is listening to people.
Absolutely. Listening to people is that's the best way to describe it. And that's what GCW does. And any promotion that does listen, they're going to be a success over time. And it's just that those that are really stubborn and like, this is what our product is, this is what it's going to stay, then, they're only going to make it so far, and that's it. And their longevity is the only thing that's going to keep them where they're at.
Yeah.
the next question is, what's your favorite place to travel to?
Oh, man, I'm really excited to go back to Chicago this weekend. I really like Chicago, but I realize I only like Chicago for about like 7 months of the year.
Yeah,
And so I would say that's a good travel to destination because I don't want to live there. Uh, I'm really excited to be vaccinated now because with borders open, there's going to be some cheap ass flights getting rocked up, and like I want to go back and like chilling Europe for a minute and like kind of bumfuck around and go over there. I spent some time in Spain and that was super lit. I would like to go back. I think the Spanish wrestling scene is starting to build up. You know, it's
yeah,
like it seems like there's a lot of places in that area that like if you were like an American dude who went into it and you were like, I'm gonna go make all this European money, like you're an idiot and you're wrong. But if you're willing to go in there as a guy who will teach and will learn from them and will try to understand their shows and help their shows get better and show them how to promote wrestling, then I think there is big opportunity in that area once things open up. Because like even in the UK, which isn't like crazy Europe, it's like there's so much rebuilding that has to be done in those scenes. There's so much distrust amongst people who've been in those scenes. There's so many people who don't need to be a part of them anymore. And like if we can kind of pull the old WWE trick of like getting across borders and showing the message of like, hey, this is how you've seen wrestling, and wrestling doesn't have to be this, and it can be a lot of things. We can sort of expand our whole global network. Like I'm about longevity, Kit, man. I'm not going anywhere. I want to be able to create a system and create a network where like people aren't going to have to like go to these companies and bow to these cable masters and bow to, you know, what they desire and what they want for their advertisers,
right.
and still make a living, because there's a big market for real live entertainment. And most consumers are kind of fucking sick of everything. We're apathetic. We've been fucking sold to our whole lives. It's a commercial fucking wasteland. They just want to go experience wrestling, and they don't need all the LED boards, and they don't need all the dumb shit, and they don't need the arena and the $9 beers. They just want to go spend $20 and yell and go crazy and call you a piece of shit and get a little drunk and have the time of their life. And I don't give a fuck if they remember my name, as long as we're creating a space for the kind of wrestling we do to be done.
Yeah. When you said you spent time in Spain, and the wrestling there, did you feel like there was like a pushback on, I don't know, like there's like a pushback on like the way that you work compared to the way that they work?
Brother, I wasn't working in Spain. I was drunk as a motherfucker traveling. But what I see from them, because most people, I think, maybe I've made up this opinion of myself, but I think if you ask a lot of people who didn't know me, who did not know Effy, what Effy thinks about wrestling, they think I thought it was a mockery or whatever. But I swear to God, even among signed talent, there is not many people who watch more wrestling than me, and I do it publicly. I watch a lot of fucking wrestling on my shows with my people constantly. And what I've seen in Spanish wrestling that I see in all of these other places that are, you know, like Singapore has a big growing wrestling scene, and China's even getting a lot of wrestling. And even some of the northern and southern countries have really gotten into, you know, figuring out what their version of wrestling looks like. And what you see is they come into wrestling with, okay, we've seen the WWE, but they blend all these other different things in. And it sort of reminds you that like, there's no rules to what wrestling is. All it is, hey man, there might be something more than you think going on here. There might be some secrets, but enjoy the fight and enjoy the show. There's a fearlessness to just like grabbing whatever bits of culture that they find to build into their wrestling that like shows us wrestling isn't done growing. It's not done figuring itself out. It's not a fixed thing. They've told you in America, here's what it is. But like, there's wrestling in Peru now, dude. There's Peruvian women who do lucha fucking moves in sundresses, fully dressed up and garnished. And that's their version of wrestling. And it's really popular there for them. It's about creating this sort of global wrestling circuit that is not any one thing, but it's all wrestling. You know what I mean? Maybe this is a big, giant, crazy concept, but I'm really excited.
No, well, think like when you bring out like in our area, like when how TV, like WWE, like this is how wrestling is done, blah, blah, blah. And the only person that could ever fucking change the way it is like Vince McMahon. And then the internet blows up, there's social media and whatnot. And guess what? Every independent promotion that did weird shit that wasn't like what you would see the standard of TV, then it starts getting popular because guess what? It's fucking cool. It's cool too. It's a different way of looking at wrestling. It's not the same, you know, the way like veterans would talk to us back in the day about like you're not allowed, you're not allowed to get any offense in for like the first 2 years of your career or whatever.
Oh, and that's just
that
crazy.
Type of shit. And those people ran it. And guess what? They got old and they lived too long. And that's why they fucking life passed them by. And if they didn't continue on, if they didn't get with the times, then they fade away. And that's what can happen to any promotion, no matter how big or small. I think of when I was 14 when I went to my first CZW show. That was my first independent show I've ever seen ever because I just didn't, know anything. And I was introduced, to like Gage and Nate Webb, and those guys are two different people, but they are nothing that I've ever seen in WWE. Like I thought Nick Gage was a real badass. Like little did I know, you never meet your heroes, and I found he's a bitch, and he's been one for years. But
no way, I'll never admit that on this video, kid. No fucking way, I'll ever say that.
I said it to him on Friday.
Oh my god,
I love Gage, and like I think of the way like he impacted me, and I just go, well, there's a whole other fucking world out there, and that's no different than the way me seeing it 14 is the way that anybody else is seeing it now. Like if you go to Spain and you see wrestling, you go, I didn't see that before, and that blows my mind. And you've been wrestling since for 8 years, something. Like
yeah.
So like we are constantly learning, and if you're not, then wrestling's gonna pass you by.
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, that's the thing is everybody's like, oh, what do you think about all these new wrestlers coming up? What do you think about all these wrestlers getting signed? Will the indies be done? Will these new people be good enough? And I'm like, yo, I'm so excited. Think about all the new matchups I get. Think about all the new wrestlers that get to step up to the position. Think about all the new fucking styles we're gonna get. Like, I love seeing new wrestlers come up. And, like, there's a bigger thing here that we have to break these people's mindset on, which is look at who's running AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor. Look at who's running all these places. It's due to made money in wrestling but didn't make enough to leave it. And now they're here deciding what's going to be over and what's not going to be over. And there's a laziness to American wrestling and probably to all wrestling where when they figure out something that works, they don't try to make something that works better or something that also works. They just keep doing the thing that works over and over. And to put it bluntly, we've got a lot of fucking mid-card guys in charge of stuff that are agents, that are producers, that are management, that are these things, that are deciding where the business is going. And I'm not seeing a growth in fans from them. I'm not seeing a growth in attendance at their shows. I'm not seeing a growth in interest on social media beyond what they already had. I'm seeing a lot of the same shit. And like, even when they talk about the ratings, oh man, NXT did 650,000, AEW did 700,000. They beat them by 50,000. It's like, dog, Raw used to do 9 million. Get out of my face.
Yeah.
These are baby ass numbers. Wrestling is on the decline. Y'all are all fucking dweebs. All right. I wear pantyhose and pink leather, and I'm less of a dweeb than they will ever be, most of these guys. It's just, there's not enough real cool people in wrestling that can follow the trends of culture without going, but that's not what wrestling is, and getting defensive about it and going, hey, trying something new, seeing if something works, seeing these new experimental things and using them in a way that's true to wrestling is possible. They just go, oh, fuck that new shit. We know how wrestling's done. We know how this goes. We know how this works.
Those are the same people that think wins and losses really matter. Like,
bro.
And
check the cage match. I don't win,
dude. I don't know if I have a match that I ever enjoyed in which I won. Like, I don't enjoy winning because it's just not as fun. I'd rather bitch and have something to bitch about, in a promo later than I would about winning sometimes. I don't think it hurts. Those are the same people that that think that way are the ones that and to give some credit to the mid-card guys that some of them that have a great mindset for the business and they have a great mindset for other people, but they don't have one for themselves. And I don't think I have any credit or leg to stand on when it comes to anything. Like I for me, I constantly am thinking like, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? Why can I think of a great concept for somebody that I just met and think of an idea by just looking at them, and then I look at me and I just go, well, maybe I'll just grow my beard a little longer. Yeah, that'll do it. But it's like, but there are those people that have that mindset of like wins and losses matter, and they run the business, and they go, well, they look at somebody, well, you know, who'd you ever beat? And you're just like, God, Jesus Christ, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And that's how they make a card.
Oh my God. Listen, none of that
I remember seeing the shows like where King Kong Bundy would be the main event in like 2006 on some shows.
Oh my God.
And then that's like 15 years old. I'm thinking, the only thing I think about with King Kong Bundy is this ESPN commercial in '95. Like, and that's the only thing I can think of. Like, how that guy being the main doesn't take a bump, and he has to win, and then he's never coming back. Like,
yeah, he's not coming back ever again. He's the winner, though. He's a legend. It's $40. Yeah. Meet him after the show.
Right. Do you remember your first match?
Yes.
All right, tell me about it.
Okay, so I had started going into wrestling training because I got sober, but I also did it because my friend Jennings, who used to be a tour band manager and also did merchandising for like ballets and shit, like crazy merchandise dude. He was like, yeah, I started going to make some wrestling training and then fuck it, I'm going to be a wrestler. And he found this weird place in Georgia and he was like, they'll book us. They don't give a shit. And I've been training for like maybe 8 months at this point, and I'd sort of decided, like, I'm just going to go fucking do this shit on my own. And I didn't go to a real school. I trained with White Trash Fred in a field in Live Oak, Florida every week. I drove an hour and a half there, hour and a half back. I did my shit out there, but it wasn't like a school where they were like, you're not going to take offense, you're not going to this. It was like, all right, I got to figure this shit out. So I started putting my PR tactics to it, but before that even came, it was like, hey, you want to come dance? You want to come wrestle in a dance hall recital building? And I was like, fucking let's go. And we beat the dog shit out of each other. We were like, we got to beat the dog shit out of each other. I'm in like yellow biker shorts with a shaved head. He's just wearing like black pants. We did the finish twice because I thought I fucked it up, but I really didn't. It was an incredible contest. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. I think I can find it probably.
I need to have this.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a work rate match, brother. I was going into bump. I was ready, but I was a big old boy. I look back, even pictures of me from 5 years ago, I've like disappeared. Not even like because I'm trying, but just because like my lifestyle as a wrestler now is so built in that I don't have that second life anymore where I'm like going to a desk job and, going to the office party and doing all that. Like it's gone. It's just
faded away. It's like that. Yeah. It's like curling, like in the Olympics. You just like,
oh dude, I did curling one time. That shit was so lit.
With the fucking sweeping.
Yeah.
Dude, I know what you mean. Like you slowly, the more I do wrestling, the more like my real life, like my friends from grade school and high school, they're still there, but like a lot of the little ones that you're only acquaintances with are gone. You don't even remember what their faces look like.
You can't explain yourself to other people.
And then you turn around and then you just see the fucking amount of characters. Like, dude, I'm from this like whitey area, like in the mainline Pennsylvania, and everybody's like doing the same thing. Like, let's go to Starbucks, then go to high school, and then whatever. And then you like those people faded away over time, and then like now you're 30, I'm 31, and then I turn around and I see the people that we're friends with, and then you got like Matt Justice giving you that like weird smile, and then there's Schlack, that and then you just look at them, and then you're just like, yeah, I relate a lot with these guys more than I ever
these guys are more fun. I think I really had an awakening where like I was working 50 or 60 hours a week, 5 or 6 days a week, like constantly working. And then I would go home, I'd see my boyfriend, I would go to bed and go back to work, and then I'd go wrestle. And I was like, well, my two lives can't meet. And then I thought about it. I was like, one of those isn't even a life. One of those is just like corporate drone. And I was like, these are all actually my real friends. And I still keep up with some of my like old pals, but
Of
like
course. Yeah.
accepting the fact that like they didn't just have to be my coworkers. I could actually be friends with these people and hang out. It wasn't like learning that they're not like against you. And some of them are still, because fuck them and they're immature. But like we're all kind of on the same team of weird fucking dudes who wrestle. We may as well hang out and be cool with each other. And that includes the girls as well. When I say dudes, you know, dudes as a term of just like,
Yeah.
dude, you know?
But what I found is like, man, like anytime let's when we would go to, we're in No Peace and we're all
Yeah.
there in Orlando. Like we now at, well, you're from Florida, right? But Tallahassee,
Yeah,
like,
I was.
so
It
you're
was north,
at the
dude.
other fucking back.
Yeah,
Well,
another
well,
quadrant.
I'm trying to move there because like I fucking loved it so much, and like I just think about like when I first went there, and this was like the moment where I was like, you know, I kind of realized where everything was going, like mentally with like wrestling, and then there's real life and stuff like that. Not to, I don't want to get in it, but like
Yeah,
we now, anytime we're all there, it's like we know exactly where we're gonna go. We know that Paro's gonna take us to Finn Henry's, and he's gonna like, because he knows the bartender,
yep,
you know, and like I know everything that's gonna happen before it does. And the only issue I ever have is when I get off the plane, and then whoever picks me up, and then we go to the bar, is that, or you know, the night before, because usually everybody, I try to get in the night before the show, is the next day, the day of the show is when everybody comes in, and I just have to be like, all right, I just have to make sure that I get up by like 4 in the afternoon. Like, and that's like
that's
the
the
biggest
weirdest
concern.
alarm to have.
Yeah,
Is the afternoon alarms? Woo!
but like, you know, and I love those like weekends, like not just because it's fun to, you know, fight my friends, and I don't think I'll ever grow out of that, but it's the, you know, it's the camaraderie that we all have now. Like we're all from different like walks of life, and like what I would think is like, you know, if, and I always use Schlack, but because like I think him and I, like anytime I talk to him, it's like, you know, dude, where have you been all my life? And then, but like if I ever saw him somewhere, if I never did wrestling,
Yeah,
I would
you'd
just
never
walk by
connect
him,
with
you know,
Sly.
and that would be it. But that's what's so cool about, I think, about wrestling is you know, the way that we all meet each other. We're all completely different from different, you know, states, cities, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And we're like, we have that one common interest, and even if we think differently about it, we like, you know, we like, if you and I have a match and you call a match a certain way and I do it a certain way, we like meet in the middle, and we create something, and that's chemistry, and then
dude,
all of a sudden it's
literally,
great.
I think some people think I'm creeping on them. I like listening to other people call matches. I just like to hear how they're called. I know we're breaking the kayfabe here, but like, I'll stand near people and be like, I'm just listening to y'all call it. Like, I just want to listen. And like, I found so much joy in that, because then when you watch the match, like there's little things you hear, and like I can pay as much attention as I want, but to see things play out, to see the way they play out, it to me is like so much reward for that attention, that little bit of attention of seeing two random strangers. And it's like every type of person in the world, but then it's like we're all turned up to 11. So it's every type of version, just a little crazier. And like you meet everyone.
I also, I like listening the way like other people call matches, and because at least anytime I have a debate about anything, or you know, if I'm just listening to somebody talk, like even if I disagree with what they believe in or whatever, I want to ultimately be proven wrong, and I want my mind to change, like always, you know, because I feel like it's almost like, all right, the first time I ever hear this fact in my head, I'm hearing from some old man at a bar, right? And then I take it as fact, and then I just spit it out to people until they prove me wrong. And then I go, and then they tell me why, and then I learn from that. And then you hear somebody else disagree with it, then they tell you why, and then you just kind of then form your opinion from it. And I think it's the same way, like, you know, when we're calling a match, and like, this is how you do it, you know, and no, it's not just how you do it.
Yeah.
Everybody does it different because they think differently. You know, like some people like to
Yeah.
call 3 things, and then that's, and then they figure out when they're going to do it. Like I would call a beginning and then the end, and then I would fill it in with like the story that would make it make sense. And then I wrestled Joey, and when I wrestled Joey, like he was like, well, what do you like to do? This is what I like to do. And we didn't talk about when we were going to do it. And he's like, "Hey, we'll figure it out when we want to do it. But now we know how."
I love it.
And I was like, I just learned something, like 7
and
years
Joey
in.
has wrestling brain where like he's inside of a match, but he's already above it, and he sort of like knows where to go with things. And he'll switch it up and go, you know what, this makes way more sense right now. And you go, yeah, I'm with it. And that's the beauty of wrestling is like, when it gets fucked, what do you do? And the beauty of figuring that question out over a long period of time has been so much fun because it's always going to get fucked. It's going to get fucked.
And to go back to what you were saying in the beginning, man, with wrestling altogether, when it comes to that kind of a match, it all just goes back to listening. Because when we decide, we're listening to the fucking crowd. Like, as much as we're like, fucking mark their opinion or whatever. You're, like me with bloggers, but ultimately, like, man, when they boo, like, I'm gonna keep doing the heat and see if I can get a little louder. Like, but like, hey, I know we said this one thing, but kick out of it, and then, and it depends on who you're working with it. And then they also get it and they also hear it.
Yeah, man. It's fun when you find that rhythm, brother. When you're in the pocket, as they say, boy, what a feeling.
But there are no like right and wrong well, there are definitely some wrong answers, but they're by people that shouldn't be, it shouldn't be dictating anything.
Well, it's not right until it works. It's
exactly.
Gotta work.
And what is it? There's no supposed to's in wrestling, or
oh my God, what a line!
Yeah.
I was supposed to. You didn't.
Yeah, well, it didn't happen that way. Right? So, what do you hate about wrestling the most?
Okay, so this is a big thing.
And don't say travel, like the travel.
No. I love travel, bro.
I'm talking like that. Like, hey, let's fit 7 people in this like Mazda Miata, and you're just like, oh yeah, let's drive 8 hours. Like,
yeah, can I bring my merch too? No, oh God. I think the thing I hate the most is our utter lack of self-awareness sometimes. And I talked earlier about people being dweebs, and I think we are dweebier than we think. And wrestling fans, hardcore wrestling fans, will tolerate a certain level of dweebiness. They tolerate it all the time because they accept wrestling. But and you've seen it probably hundreds of times, when someone comes out to a badass song and they think they look badass, but everyone knows they don't look badass, but they're not self-aware enough to see that everyone around them doesn't see them as badass, I wish it would go away. I wish someone would pull them to the side, and I may have to be that person going forward and say, hun, you're not a badass. You got to stop. This isn't going to work. There's
nothing worse than hearing somebody go, hun, and then you're like,
honey, breathe. Breathe for a second, but you don't need to do that again. It doesn't work. And there's so many people, and it's like, I sort of see it as like they've let this version of themselves out. They've sort of let this character out that is this, fighter. And I'm speaking counterintuitively by telling you to prove that in the fight, maybe. Don't come out and immediately try to set the tone as the most badass in the world, or set the tone in your promos as the most badass in the world if you can't deliver on that. There's a lot of badass cats in pro wrestling. We've seen a lot of badass cats come and go in pro wrestling. If you're not one of those guys, then don't build yourself around it, because you're wasting time until you figure out what you actually are. Sometimes we ignore the most obvious things about ourselves because we go, okay, well, nobody's going to like that about me. I don't like that about me. When in reality, like, making the acknowledgement and moving forward is the best way to do it. And if you're not a badass, acknowledge you're not a badass and don't be a badass. You're more badass if you have a weapon, but walking out to Papa Roach, like, really blasted to your spirit, it's not doing it for me, babe.
Dude, I remember Sozio, Nigo Sozio put it this way. He's like, like, if wrestling was 100% real, he was like, Joker and Chris Dickinson would fucking win all the title belts, and we wouldn't have a fucking
just smash people's
world,
face in,
and so, like, the way he meant it was like me, for example. Like, I'm a small dude or whatever, and in real life I'm fucking stubborn. I am bitter, like, about like the smallest of things, and then I establish a character around it, and then I put it up to 1,000, and that's what I do. So that's like where, with, I mean, like, again, when I bring up Gage, it's like, yeah, visually nobody sees like that being more than like a 3-minute match, like 99% Gage, like 1% me. But they just don't realize that Gage in real life is just such a bitch. And then like that, it really, in real life, it would be 90. No, I'm just kidding. But you know,
Oh
like
my
that.
God! You're gonna get me killed out
But
here.
you know what I mean? Like that.
I know what
like,
you mean.
But that's how the crowd sees me, and then you kind of like, you know, and then I realize that that's what they see. So then it's my job, because why would Gage ever change? Like, it's my job to make them believe that I am some type of a threat. But if I don't see that that's how they see me, then that means that most likely I'm looking at it as like, yeah, we're like 50-50. Like, fuck out of here with that. Like,
it's got to translate to the people, though. You know, they've got to understand what's going on in there, and they've got to know what's happening. And like, that's the thing is, like, you know, dude, if you come out there and, you know, you've got penguin flappers instead of arms, but your gimmick is like you're a mechanic who's tired, dog, like, they're not going to be able to see you as the mechanic who's tired. They can't see the mechanic who's tired over the penguin wings if you don't address the penguin wings.
Right.
You got to address them.
It's exactly. And then again, it just goes right back to it as, you know, like these dweebs, as you're putting it, they're not listening. Like, they're just not.
Yeah.
They just don't. They have tunnel vision. They have what they in their head created on, like, you know, WWF Warzone in '98. Like, that's what they created, and then that's what they visualize themselves as they haven't lifted up a weight to be that guy, but they dressed sort of the part, and then they just they're playing dress up. Like,
but
whereas,
it makes more sense to the audience because they're not idiots. And like, I think with wrestling, like you said, it's okay. Well, if you can predict every move, then that's not fun. But there's an air of mystery to wrestling, because even if you look at the obvious graphic and go, well, I know how that's going to go, you don't. And you go into the situation going, literally anything could happen here. This could go many different ways because it's pro wrestling. And we can acknowledge that and play that up with people. But Kit Osborne is going to do a better job of telling the story of him beating a 300-pound guy like Pero if Kit Osborne fights like a self-aware Kit Osborne, which is, I'm a smaller guy here. I fucking hate this shit. This sucks. I got to beat the shit out of this dude in a way that's fucked up and kind of scheming and with weapons and take my moments. And when I get up on him, you're going to hear from me, bitch, because you didn't think I could do it. And that tells your story so much like more effectively than if you went up to Pero and you were like, well, I'm a ninja. I've never fallen down. I can beat you with one finger punch is my finish, and they're all going to love it. And it's like, you would walk out and they'd be like, what's going on? And Pero would fall to your finger punch, and you'd be like, you'd be standing there. Everyone would be standing there going, no one knows what's happening. But if you were that dedicated to it and no one could talk you out of it, it's like, and you had power at a company, I couldn't stop you from booking yourself as the one finger magic man who really thinks he's a badass ninja who's never fallen down.
There's so many things in wrestling that add up that can make a match like that you just like if you describe me as like, yeah, I'm this ninja that doesn't fall down, even though like Paro is literally like, you know, he's fucking almost like 6'5", whatever.
Yeah, he's a giant.
That. And he's like a foot taller than I am, you know, shoot. And you know, the only thing that in real life I ever do is like, man, I can make him laugh and I can poke at him, you know, and he loves it, you know, and like, yeah, we're all just having a good time. But he also realizes that in real life, I know that he could smush me in like one fucking hit, and he's agile enough that I ain't moving past him. Like, but if I have, you know, if him and I have a match and he's desperate for money, guess what? And I have a little bit more clout, then he's going to lose the match and it's going to suck, you know? But what I'm saying is there's so many different aspects in wrestling that make people falter, that they don't realize. Like there's, you know, somebody who
people
owns
get
the
excited
company.
on an idea.
You know?
I'll tell you what, they get certainly excited on an idea.
What?
And they don't like no.
Oh, no. Yeah. So, like, I think one of the first things I ever learned in wrestling was, well, one, you know, is shut the fuck up and listen. But the other one was like when we call a match, like, and you have this thing that you're calling, we're negotiating like a business deal. Like this is no different than we have a contract and we both have to meet what we want. And you give me this contract and go, yeah, but like, nah, fuck that. Then guess what? Like, you're going to be like, well, fuck the deal. I'm just going to go out there and I'll just do what I want. And then,
yeah, but it's a shitty deal. I don't win in this deal.
Whereas, like, if we negotiate, then both of us at the end of the day are really happy with it. We're motivated, and I go, yeah, I like that idea. However, like, did you think of, I do this thing. Do you think maybe we can incorporate into that? And then you're just like, yeah, holy shit, I didn't even think of that. And then we get what you want, I get what I want. And then we meet in the middle. And all of a sudden we go out there. And then then we go out there and I forget all the moves. But I mean, but on paper it sounds great. Like
the thing is, and I don't condone unprofessional behavior, but also that contract is not set in stone, darling, and we can make decisions on the fly in the middle of this business deal. If you've got a deal you want to lay on the table in the middle of this, if you don't need to hit the flying nothing into nowhere, then honey, we can negotiate this deal live, baby.
The flying nothing into nowhere.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Yes.
It's a great move.
It's like, I have to do this thing. And you're like, well, all right. Well, like, does it matter?
Yeah, I go, oh, yeah, you can do 20 minutes into the match. You want to do that thing? We'll go for it. I'll ask you about it about 12 in, and we'll see where you're at.
Yeah. Like, dude,
maybe don't do the thing.
I never put too many eggs in one basket, man. Like, I'm telling you, like, I would never tell it to his face. I mean, if he's listening right now, then he's hearing it. But I would never tell him to give him the compliment. But like when I wrestled Joey, and then he went with that, like when he just described calling something like that, I was like blown the fuck away by it, and I was like, why am I so dumb? and then why don't I call matches like that? So then I don't have to think as hard.
Well, you got to have a lot of trust in yourself and the other person though to do that. And know that they're at least competent enough to understand what's going on, and not, because I also see a lot of people in matches still where you can tell they really planned something. You can tell someone didn't fully understand what was being said to them.
Yep.
And now there's a schmoozy doozy. And to be able to kind of roll on the fly like that, there has to be a sort of understanding and a sort of communication that like works for everyone to make sure you're getting there, The
only thing that could ever screw it up is if you don't know how to talk. Like, I have long hair for a fucking reason. Like it's so that I could fucking do that and say what I want, so that you could be like, I didn't hear you. And then I tell you.
Dude, I did a match the other day and this dude fucking whispered. I will not say who it was. And I was like, that is the quietest talk I've ever heard in my whole life. It was like, He's like, well, I'm a professional. And I was like, well, you were too professional. I'm deaf. Just say it. They don't know what you're saying. Just smack me and call me a bitch and then say suplex. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I just don't want the awkwardness. Like, there's no reason, I think, at our level anymore, even if we work with somebody young, newer, that there should ever be that, and the thing is, like, I did it like a couple weeks ago, or whatever, and I almost did that waiting for, he didn't know what he called his own thing, and then I go, all right, hey, let's do that one thing. He's like, yeah. And then I go like this, and I know that his face isn't going down the ducket, and I almost went up and around his head, and I was like, don't do that. Don't fucking do that. You've been here too long. You're going to lose shit. And then I just fucking, hit him. And
sometimes they get yappered in the nose, dude.
It's like, dude, hey, when I throw a line, it's like, you got to duck. Like, you have to duck. And if you don't duck, then you're going to hit that top of the head. And it's going to hurt my arm, and then I'm going to freak out.
Then I'm going to stomp you. In a polite manner, but in a firm yet
right,
reassuring
yeah. It's just
manner.
like, hey, man, get your shit together. I'm giving you heat so you can think. Oh, you're fun. But that's just, it's just the, that way of calling wrestling. And then, oh, yeah, and I wanted to compliment you. Like, one of the things I always liked, like, anytime I watch any of your matches, I really noticed it when I would watch you with Cass, and it's when there's like, it's not necessarily downtime, but let's just say you have the upper edge on them. It's like you, like when you look at the, like after you hit them with something and then you go to that crowd and like it's you in the crowd. It's never you in the crowd. And then me also realizing, you know, in the back of his head, he's worried about, you know, what he's got to do next, you know? And I've always like just enjoyed anybody that would be like that. Like, yeah, like there's
yeah.
And I envy it because like I sometimes worry, and maybe it's just like this weird thing with like when, you know, growing up and just being like a smaller dude, and I just think, well, how long can he sell for, you know, for me, you know? And I'm just like, dude, it's not fucking real, like, you know, and you know, and then I you know, that's the thought, but like with you,
yeah.
I see you so engaged in that crowd, and then you can go back whatever amount of time, and then you pick them up, and then you continue the heat. And I just fucking love it.
It's Southern shit though, Kat, because it's the three rules are this, all right? And it took me a while to figure out rule number one. Rule number one is he's gonna sell for you, and if he don't, make him. And that's a great rule, which is, like you said, you're going, well, is this big guy going to stay down? And if he doesn't, well, you just stay right back on top of him and you go, stay the fuck down. Two is nobody's chasing you. And that to me is sort of the we're going to get there. It's like, listen, I know we have times. I know we need to stick to our times. We have plotted our match to make sure we're within that parameter.
Right.
We've fully gone down that direction. What now is going to chase me towards the end here? Well, the ref talking to me is going to chase me. The people are going to chase me. Me thinking about the other matches are going to chase me. Turn that shit off. Nobody's chasing me. The last one is the best one of all, though, which is sell to Jesus. All right? If I kick your ass and you fall down, don't look down into the ground. Sell up to Jesus. He needs to see you suffering just like the people. Look up at Jesus and suffer for a second. Suffer towards Jesus, STJ. And that's like my mentality. And especially like, I had to learn on my feet because you get into some of these other promotions and other places where the work rate is different. You've really got to go. You've really got to remember people's shit. You want to make sure their stuff is good. There's a lot more complication. And finding those moments where I know I am in control and I know I am in my pace and I know I'm in my place, it's like you have to have that ease of tension for it to be believable with the people, for them to understand that, like, I'm here too in front of you live. It's happening too. I'm not on a railway. I can do whatever I want right now. I don't have to even go do the next thing. We're here. And wrestling's that last form of that improvisational, you have no clue what's going to happen. Circus LA is not improv. You know, even going to see Jerry Seinfeld, it's not improv. There's improv theaters, but it's all, you know, well, I'm a little elephant. Well, I'll have to take you to the market. This is absurd. For real physical in your face, like, who knows what's going to happen? There's nothing else like it, you know? And to know we're working together and still create those moments of tension, MMA can't do it. Circus LA can't do it. The movies can't do it. It's a whole nother world. And we've got to treat it with this sacred thing, but also like fucking throw it out the window and make it whatever we want. I'll take all the old school shit I want, and then I'll let you eat whipped cream out of my ass. I don't give a fuck. It's all the same to me as long as the audience is entertained and we're giving them what they need. And they leave the building and go, man, that was worth my money. We'd come back to that. And don't go, oh, well, it was a little more expensive than I wanted, and I had to sit through 3 hours of shit to see the one person I wanted. Like, let's give them all of it.
Yeah. I mean, I can say that I definitely learned from that. Because when you just said, you're like, you know, they're not chasing you. Like that one, I think it stuck for me. Yeah, I mean, sell to Jesus Christ.
It's incredible. It's the best advice. I don't remember who told me either, but it's like, it's genius advice.
But that, you know, like they're not chasing you is like what almost, it's like you almost need that person, like as you're looking at the crowd, like it's almost like the ref, and he just goes, hey man, don't worry. He ain't getting up. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, he's going to stay down.
Is, you know, but that was, I mean, that was the one thing that I always saw that I would see you do. And like, that was I mean, you always connected with the crowd throughout the entire match. Like, every time you sold, like Drew Gulak training me. And I remember like, I'd be in like in a headlock. And, you know, you always have like your head up, like, you know, you don't look down. You want everybody, you want the fucking upper deck to see you, all that shit. But when you have that headlock in and you have your eyes closed, you're like, and he would be like, God, look, it's Joe Pesci over here. And you're just like, fuck. And that's like,
I'm
and, then, and every time I sell, I'm just like, like, you know, looking up. But like before, I mean, I remember when he said it, and then I would be like when he made fun of me, you know, I was never doing that again. And then I've used it so many times, like anytime, like I'd be at like, you know, any training or anything. But that one, and that, man, like that one's sticking because, dude, there's always that anxiety. Like it depends on who you're working with, but it shouldn't depend on that. It should always be that no matter who the fuck you're working, whether it's, you know, some greenie or you're wrestling Masada, if you're giving him the heat and you're giving him time to breathe, you have all the time in the world to work with the crowd. And then when you turn around and pick him up, he's waiting there for you for whatever direction, or you to give him, you know, the Iggy, or if he's pissed off and drunk. I don't know. I don't have any idea.
Yeah,
but
I think even for baby faces too, like baby faces are big rushers because they want to get to their stuff. They want to get to the next thing. They want to get to the thing that's going to send the crowd up, instead of saying like, hey man, if you took one breath here and made one big pullback for this shot before you did it, instead of just throwing it real quick at this guy, the whole world can take that second to see it. They write the news at a fourth grade level, kid, and it's not because we're all stupid. It's just because it's more palatable for us to not have to think through the complication. And if you're going to hit a dude in the face, or if you're going to hit your big move, dog, like, give us the 1 second. He's not going to wreck you. He knows it's coming. He knows what's going to happen. Give it the second, register, and then go for the big moment. Baby faces can take that time. When baby faces are in control, it's not, oh, you better get it in quick, because baby faces aren't in control very long right now. It's baby faces are in control for a short amount of time, but they're fully in control. Take that moment. I'm going to do it all for you. When it comes time, I'm going to lay you down again. We'll go back to sleep. We'll wake up when it's over.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite things training was I forget what it's called, but basically, like, you wouldn't know who you're working. You would get a number on your arm, you know, and whoever had the biggest number, when they would pick a name out of the hat, like, that guy's going over, you know, and like, you from there in front of whoever's, you know, there, you guys are just calling a match. So basically, you're working with your character, and it's forcing you to have a character, because, you know, if we don't know each other, then how the fuck?
Yeah, I don't need you dropping me on my head immediately.
Yeah, like, absolutely. You know, and if you did, then I know either one, you're a lot stronger than me, and I'm gonna have to listen, or like I'm gonna, you know, and then I'm gonna have to work around it, and I'm gonna have to. But ultimately, it forces you to have to talk. It forces you to have to, like, take time,
adapt.
And adapt, exactly. So I always loved those, because those always woke, you know, somebody new up. It stressed them out. A lot of times,
that's the matches I have now, kid. I write 100 on my hands, and nobody has a bigger number, and I show up and I go, baby, you know the finish, and then I meet them out there. I'd say that's 95% of my matches. You know the finish.
I wish that, like, you know, if this, when you know, like I said, when I'm green and they're doing this shit, I'm like, oh fuck, 2, and then who am I wrestling? And then it's so and so, and he's like 250, you know, and you're like, wow, I'm definitely not. That's not more. But like, man, if I had that pen, I could have just wrote like 251. Let's see what he does. Yeah. Like, you know,
see what happens. He's got to go under, brother.
But obviously, you know, that's why everything we just said is bullshit. You know, because, man, what I'm trying to get across here is wins and losses matter.
Listen, I think, though, also, like, I really do watch a lot of the shows I'm on. I try to pay attention to what's happening in the matches. I try to listen to what people are calling and figure it out. Because, like, I definitely I'm benefited by juxtaposition, and all of wrestling is benefited by juxtaposition, because the whole show needs to be good, but it all needs to be a little different. I don't need the same match over and over. I don't need the same thing over and over. And to be able to see what others have done and see what people are going to do after me, and kind of figure out what my role is for the night, whether that's me just having to tell myself or the promoter telling me what's going on, I've got to find that lane that I'm in to go at full speed. And you've got to really pay attention to work at that sort of pace, because I'm constantly thinking on the fly. I'll tell you, we're cutting half the match, 10 minutes before we go out. If I've seen the last match before, let's do a bunch of the shit we were going to do, which like doesn't happen all the time. But like
Right.
I had a situation the other day where I wanted to do this really obscure move. I've only seen one person do it. I'm not going to tell you what it was. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you the story later. And he was like, cool, let's do it. We did the move. It's a little dangerous, a little obscure. Cool, we did it. We went to the back, and the next match after us was about to go out. And I was like, oh, bro, that move we did, it really worked. It hit, and that was perfect. It gave me the time to sell. Like, it was so sick. And they go, did y'all do that? And I was like, yeah, isn't that weird? It's a weird, obscure move. And they're like, we were about to go do that. And I was like, well, don't go do that. And so they flipped it right there. But it's like the coincidences are going to happen. You're going to call the same shit as someone else, no matter how wild or obscure you think it is. Like, check with people, find out what other people are doing, see what the angle is. Like, there's no shame in having the talent meeting and going over finishes, but like, that's not the end of the work line if you're going to try to fit in that lane and try to be something different that the rest of the show hasn't been so far, to make sure everybody gets all of it.
Right. It goes back to, like, that is exactly why. Like, I like listening to what other people are doing, Like, at Dojo Wars, Drew and Gulag and Preacher would say, all right, what major moves you guys doing? And he would write on like this whiteboard or a piece of paper or whatever. And he goes, nobody can do that. Like, like every match, like what major moves, like, are each one of you going to do? And you're just like, and then, and that the point of it was supposed to teach you that, hey, listen, if this person is doing an elbow drop off the top, and it's a falsie, then don't do it. Like, don't do it. Like, as a finish, you're gonna make him look like shit, or whatever. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. It's just that it teaches you to listen. Like, the point is that so that going forward, you go, well, what are other people doing in their matches? Because I have a feeling that this move that you do is something that like other people do, and then you start to learn like people's move sets. Like, somebody like in one show, like I like doing this. I love doing a lariat, but guess what? I'm too small to do one. However, what if I did it to the back of your head? Like I did it to your back, and I did it after a certain thing. Then guess what, man? I can do that, and then it's cool.
Yeah, you've shifted what the contact is. I mean, there's only so many ways you can make contact with another human being, but there are ways where you can adjust that in wrestling to make it your own. Like, the best moves you look up on Wikipedia are like standard move with flair. Like, it'll have a name and then it's like standard move with flair. Like, you're adding your spin to what this thing is, and like, if your spin is good enough, then nobody else on the show needs to do it. But if you can spin something someone's doing, it's like, I mean, like, I'm in SGC with AJ Gray. I think AJ Gray has the best lariat in the world. Am I not going to throw a lariat? No. But am I going to go into the match thinking I'm going to throw as effective lariat as AJ Gray? No, I'm not. My lariat is not going to be a finisher the way AJ Gray's is, but I'm going to throw it as hard as I can, and I'm going to let the commentator say, hey, he's showing homage to his SGC brother who finishes those matches that way, and creating a story there. But like, let everybody know when you're working like that, because I've had a lot of people try to work with me.
That's a really detailed.
And they don't fill you in. All you got to do is tell me what's going on. If I don't know what's going on, girl.
Dude, it's almost as important as like, some people when they don't realize the importance of when you're talking to like somebody who's commentating. Like, and then they bitch later because they didn't get something over. So, and I can be honest, like, I am 100% a late bloomer. I feel like I've learned more in the last 5 years than I ever learned ever, besides basics and whatnot, because I definitely had a stubborn mind, like wanted to be a certain character and was told certain things, and then, and you have to wait, and then you learned. And then like now I'm like, man, I really wish I could meet my fucking 18-year-old self so that I could yell at him and say, hey, fuck what he said, but But it does. It's whatever. It's just that when what the fuck were we just saying? So
I'll take you here and say this. I think when I look at you said you've learned so much in the last 5 years, but also think of how much wrestling has changed in the last 5 years. If you're not on the cusp and willing to learn, you kind of get left to the side. And we've seen a lot of guys left to the side who can't adapt and they can't get with the new narrative of things and they can't shift with wrestling and they don't have any success and they don't have any bookings and they're mad at everybody instead of going, hey, you know, financially, culturally, wrestling is shifting a little bit in the way it's promoted, in the way the shows are created, in the way the styles. If you're not willing to make those adaptations, then yeah, like I hope we've learned a lot because wrestling 5 years ago and wrestling now, like it's a whole different bird.
Oh,
like, it's
exactly. I mean, it's exactly what you said. Like even culturally, is changed immensely. It's fucking weird to think that 2016 was 5 years ago. Like, you know, and when I'm saying like 5 years ago, like I feel like I just started to figure out how to again listen, you know, and listen to the right people, not be stubborn for like the years before. Where like, you know, I trained, took time off for like real life and school and stuff like that, like because like you have to pick and choose, like have to have a safety net, whatever, at the time. And then you go into now, and then you go, all right, you can't just think a certain way. You have to evolve as time goes on. You know, like you can't say the same things that people used to say. And you have to not just not say it, but you have to understand why. And if you don't agree with it, then you have to do your own like searching.
Yeah.
You know, searching.
But we've done a better job financially policing that too, where our consumer base is very loud about what and who can bring us entertainment, because there are a lot of people that we have decided whether they want to continue participating or not, we're not going to support it or, in the most part, allow it in a lot of cases. And that's really cool to see of the fan base, because, you know, these old school guys that say don't listen to the fans get to decide who wrestles because they pay for the tickets and watch the shows.
It's just
this is going to be the shift.
It's a way that you choose to acknowledge it is what changes it. Yeah, I know what you mean by don't listen to them. However, there's a reason why Hogan was so fucking over, and that he didn't do shit. You know, and you're gonna bitch and complain about him, but you know, I don't think he gives a shit. You know, and that's why there are people that are bitter. And those bitter people are the ones that are that don't listen, and they're the ones that will be like, you know, like you always have. I think in some of the like not as more of like not a shindy, but like the ones that I have like every once in a while, like that one person, that one dude that's be like, dude, that was gay, and you're like, dude, it's like 2020, don't say that, or 2021, like you don't say that. You're
eat them alive.
Well, I mean, I don't see the problem, you know. And you're just like, oh God, this is it. This is the guy. I found him. You know, he just is yet.
I know, but like I wish they would sometimes, because girl, I am as sharp as a knife. You know, I think that straight people aren't good at acting. That's just a belief I have. Well,
fuck you, first of all,
because gay people have had to act in public for their lives, to like live and exist. So I think there's a little bit of an advantage there. And when I think about like these cats that want to get catty and want to start stuff and want to say hateful things, they don't understand sometimes the battle of language and wit that they're about to enter. And, you know, everybody can choose violence. I wouldn't choose violence against me. But if you choose to say something ignorant, girl, I'm going to eat you alive. I'm going to eat you alive.
But you know what's so great about what I think is so great about now is that I look, I mean, I understand, like, there have been people that have been canceled for things that they've said, you know, in the back, and I'm not gonna lie to you, like, yeah, dude, I'm 31, so in high school, yeah, things I would say things are gay, like, you know, like, duh. And I would love to bet anybody that would be like, I never said that, like, dude, like, it was normal and it didn't mean a hurtful thing at the time.
I say it all the time, but very positively.
What?
I said I say it all the time, but very positively.
But yeah, it's
so gay.
But like, I mean, hey, listen, if something is, I mean, like, that's more of a fact. That's not more of a like, yeah, I didn't like it, you know. But you know, but as time went on, you know, like you learn to listen to like what the word is and whatnot, and you're just like, well, you know, you don't say it, because of X, Y, and Z, and it means a completely different thing. And then there are those people who just go, yeah, but I mean it this way. And you're like, yeah, but like, are you not thinking about other people? You know, like, do you just always just think
No,
about
they're not.
you know?
No, that's the problem in America. We're all the protagonists of the story. Everybody is in their story. They are the protagonists. Everybody is the main character. And so what we figured out is, like, since everyone's the main character, nobody's the participating character. So nobody's listening to anybody, and everybody's in their own ego world where they're living in their little video game. They're going forward. And so then they figure out, since no one's listening, the only way to get heard is to be derogatory, because it gets attention of people,
Right.
and they can hear that. So they're just doing it to continue getting attention in their little protagonist story. And it's like, even if they don't mean it, we have to call out, you know, like the
But it's
lack of self-awareness.
It's a cheap heat. Like, as in, like, I'm a bad guy all the time. I mean, I'm a bad guy in real life. I mean, every time we hang out at a bar, I am the biggest piece of shit, you know, all the time. However, I am clever with how much of a piece of shit I am. And it goes beyond, like, if you and I have a thing, and or if I'm in a feud with somebody who's overweight or something. It's like, dude, like, I can't, you don't do that. Like, it's just like, hey, listen, it's wrong, because in real life, I know that it's wrong. But even if, like, if you look at your character, like, my character is 1,000 times who I am. Me, like, you know, me normal wouldn't say that, like, ever. Like, it wouldn't even, like, grace the thing. I find something else about you, you know, like.
Well, and yeah, I mean, like,
I could think of it, but I don't want to bring it up, because, like, I feel like I'm gonna cut a promo about it one day, you know, and like, I 100% want to buy your stupid little spike pink jacket, and, like, not because it's cool, just cool, but because I want to wear it to make fun of you in it.
Yeah,
and then I want to outdo it, you know, and like, I could think of, like, oh man, and if I do this, I want you to be like, oh, hey, look at him, he's Dolph Ziggler, you know, like that. And then it's just like, I'm thinking constantly of, like, what can I do that can then later be thrown against me? But, you know, if you bring up, like, somebody's real life and what they do, like, and something that, like, obviously is not something to touch on, like, in general, not just you, fuck you, but, you know, in general, you know, you like, that's just cheap, and it's not fun.
And, like,
it's not
I
fun,
don't think your heat always has to come from putting down the other person either. Like, I think you can get your own heat, and your opponent can still be fine, and it doesn't always have to be about the other person in the ring to still make you a piece of shit and still make it effective as a storytelling device.
The same thing I joked about with Gage. You know, like, you know, he's a bitch and he's been one for years, and I'm going to tell you why mathematically. You know, like, that can be used against anybody, you know, and really all it does, and I like how I'm just, like, giving away the only arsenal I have, is that is that then they validate who you are, and then they compare you versus me, rather than me tell them what to think about. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you know, Effy's a bitch. And you know what? He's been one for years. And if you really want me to tell you why, I'll tell you why mathematically. But I'm not going to do that, because I don't want to bore you, blah, blah, blah. And then I cut the promo. And that's why, you know, an October or whatever. And then it gives the viewers a chance to then analyze who you are and why they like you, and then why they fucking hate me, you know, and that's it. And I didn't even say anything, you know, like.
I think you should pee on somebody for heat.
I really should. You know,
I heard it works. I got to go pick up my boyfriend's tune, kid.
Yeah,
we got to do a part 2
you know what?
on
Wait,
this.
listen. It is 11:35. I can't thank you enough for being on here. I feel like
I had a blast.
the questions. Fuck the questions.
How was that mall bag?
I love that this has been more of, like, a psychology episode that I've had. You know, it really gives. I think it gives people more of an in and an understanding the way that we think. And it's important. And I didn't know this about you, because, like, you know, most of the time we do not talk about a lot of this. So I'm actually happy to have done it.
And why would we? We've been around it all day. We want to talk about anything else.
Yeah, we want to talk about, like, you know, why Cass is, like, over there, like unable to open both of his eyes. But like the
He asked for it.
But I want to always leave with like one question, and I want to ask you is actually, I'm asking you two, and you gotta wait, and your boyfriend's gonna have to wait. The first one is, what do you want to be remembered for?
Setting the architecture for making it easier to make money without corporate greed pigs taking most of it. I hope when I walk away that it's very easy for people to make independent money and that we're open about the information. We share it. There weren't people sharing it with me when I started making money in wrestling. There weren't people telling me how to operate, telling me how things work, telling me how stuff works, building a system that helps us make money without having to go to someone else for their money and their clout. I hope we get to that point. And so, like, as much as I have fun being a performer and an entertainer, like being Effy is the most fun shit. We've got to think bigger than that too, and like get to that next level. We're gonna get there. I hope that's what I'm remembered for. We'll see though.
I mean, if this was one of those seminar things, like I'd be like, hey, can you help me? So
yeah, listen, go for it.
Then the last one I got for you is who's, and you can name a few, but who's your bucket list match that like it can happen, it's feasible, but like the one that you fucking want more than ever, and if they were to ever listen to this, because you see these fucks like Murder, Death, Kill, and all those dudes, they will watch this and they will literally send it to them 1,000,000 times till they see it. What is the match that you would want? Who do you want it with, and tell me why?
Oh, man, this is such a weird question.
Well, you should have watched my fucking show then.
Because half of me wants to say the cattiest shit of all time, and half of me wants to be a little genuine here.
Why don't you just be a fan for once, Mr. I want to control the business.
Honestly, it would be The Miz, I think. I think I could finally get him over. And that's not me being catty. I think people misunderstand The Miz pretty heavily, and that's fine. And it's because WWE's narrative is very limited in scope. But I think we could do some real gangbusters when he's ready to leave the Fed. Because I've said it before. Effy's not coming on your TV show, not anytime soon or for any reason. But if you want to come on the outside and you want to go against the COVID cowboy, I got plenty of room and space. I'll put you in a luchador mask, pal.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that you don't want to go on something like that? Like, there's no amount of money. There's no amount of money for that 1 year deal that you wouldn't be like, not worth it. I'd rather fucking live. I'd rather have my green screen. Like,
honestly, listen, man. I understand. I'm limiting my scope to the normal viewer, right? To the regular person, but we're at a real cataclysm in the next year or two, truly. Where I think a lot of monoliths that people thought would never fall into the ocean will be underwater. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the long-term play goes. I've got my, chips on the table. They've got their chips on the table, and the wheel's spinning, and everybody thinks they know where it's landing. And I stand by that. I don't ever see myself as Effy in any capacity benefiting from helping their shows out. I won't do it. And our introduction to the mainstream audiences is not going to come through antiquated methods like cable. It just won't happen. I mean, nobody gets access TV, folks. It's just the facts. We're going to get there. And I'm staying on the outskirts, and I'm putting it all on black, baby.
That's awesome, man. First of all, like, I can't believe how long we talked. I really at one point I was watching the clock and I was like, fuck, man, what the fuck is he gonna say? But I love talking to you, and it was actually really awesome to get to know you, like, even more.
We're real people, bro.
Huh?
We're real people.
Dude, I know. I mean, sometimes,
sometimes.
Dude, like, when I put on cowboy boots, don't even fuck with me. But
same bitch.
But man, it's actually awesome to get to know you. Obviously, it means that things are going to be different when we hang out.
I know. We're going to have to kiss on the mouth after these vaccines.
God.
How was that Malbec?
Well, you know, I mean, I'm always down, but uh, I appreciate you being on my show, man, and I thank
How
you
was the
for it.
wine?
Thanks for. Oh, dude, actually, the wine was awesome. I'm not gonna lie, I am down with Tall Dark Stranger. So, you know, if anybody wants to just tag them in it so that they send me
Yeah,
shit,
we need the
they'll be
sponsorship
everybody will be
bottles.
a every single guest will be a Tall Dark Stranger if they send me enough
Yes,
wine. All right.
I love it.
Thank you, man,
Yo,
for having
thank
me.
you, bro.
I'll
Y'all be safe, and thanks for raising
talk
money
to
for
you
the
soon.
SPCA. Ah!
See you, brother. All right. Thank you all for listening to that. Holy shit. Like, I actually, I'm very surprised how long it was. I mean, I always love hanging out and talking with Effy all the time. Like, anytime we're anywhere, like, it's just a good time to be with. Listen, I have this, it's a PSPCA, ASPCA. It is, you know, for animals, if you're an idiot and you don't know that by now, or if you know, mistreat animals, then I guess you're not going to donate. But if you can, throw some money on there, $1, $2. I don't give a shit, just anything. But I really appreciate you guys listening. As always,